Following podcast features half-biased and controversial sports takes. All predictions are simply predictions, and we truly don't know what will happen. We will try our best to keep you entertained, but no guarantees. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to our show. Much love, Ripper Brands.
How we doing? Ethan Rose, Ellingson Gratz, episode 68 of the Ripper Podcast. I'm fired up. We got a fun one today. We got two guests coming on the show. Ellingson, how are we doing? How's Tulsa feeling?
A double feature episode. Ethan, to be perfectly honest with you, I never thought that we'd get here. This is awesome. Can't wait. But today has been a good day. I had one of my classes get spontaneously canceled.
Love that.
The reason it got canceled is because there's a lot of reading to do in that class. And the big issue is nobody's doing it. People just like pull up and have no idea what's going on. I'm one of them. And so we got the day off to read the book. And I definitely read the book. The book's name is Michael Williams out of Georgia. Getting some tape watching in, of course. It's been a really nice day in Tulsa. Nice and sunny.
Yeah, that's what we love. Draft season, as always, it's going to be a lot of fun. We got two guests, like you mentioned there in your intro. Josh Ellingson will be joining us in just a moment. And then Freddy Herrera will be on after him. We'll be talking some high school playoff basketball on that note. So fired up. There's a lot of really cool things that are going on. Two guests, like you mentioned. This is the first time we've ever done that. Super fired up. But like you said, it is draft season. We'll be talking a lot of draft. The last 48 hours have been absolutely wild in the NFL. So we'll get to that towards the end of the episode. We got a little bit of golf to talk about. Another solid week in fantasy golf. So we got to appreciate that. And obviously, we got high school basketball. The girls are in sectionals. Only a couple teams remaining in the area for the girls, and we got a handful of teams for the boys in, I guess you could call it game 2 of the regionals. So we're fired up. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got our rankings to get to, obviously. It doesn't get much better than this, Ellingson. I don't know about you. What does get better is the man that we're going to welcome onto the screen now. Ladies and gentlemen, Monroe native, Josh Ellingson. Welcome to the show. Oh, I got to add him to the screen. Oh, no. I almost sold that. I'm so sorry. How are we doing, Josh?
Good. How are you boys doing?
I'm good. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. What are we up to right now? How are we feeling? And what's a day in the life look like right now?
Right now is actually pretty slow. Still going to the races on the weekend. The rider I work for is currently injured, so just going as a helping hand. And then during the week is just getting caught up on the work that we can't get done while we're racing. So it's pretty slow. We still got maybe a month left, and then we'll be firing back up.
Love it. So for the viewers that don't know what you do, explain your craft and some of the cool things that you and your team have accomplished.
So I'm a mechanic for Eli Tomac, who races supercross and motocross on a 450. And I work for Star Yamaha, which is Yamaha's technically not factory, but I would say factory race team. They don't have an in-house factory team, so we're technically their factory team that they sub out for us to go racing. So duties, fun stuff. I mean, we're traveling 31 weeks out of the year, racing 17 supercross rounds and 11 outdoors, and then we have some SMXs at the end that cap the season. So travel is one of the fun things, and we're always seeing new places, experiencing new things, and just that about sums it up.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Our daily draft topic is stadiums, so you're going to have a bit of an upper hand being to probably most of these places. Explain, you talked about the difference between motocross and supercross and what Eli performs in, and then also the difference between like indoor and outdoor season. Explain what that means, because that's something even I am kind of confused about. And like, what's the difference? And I guess kind of what's the different competition between the two, and how does that play into some of your decision making and what you do on a daily basis?
So technically, there's 3 series within a whole series. So first series, the first 17 weeks is what they call Supercross. That's where we race in the stadiums, the football stadiums, the baseball stadiums. We have some outdoor stadiums. Like last weekend was Daytona to start off bike week that we raced just outside the NASCAR track. And then once Supercross is over with, we transform into what's outdoors. Outdoors is motocross. We're out in pretty much the middle of nowhere, racing on hills and all different kind of conditions. So Supercross is more of a technical racing. Outdoors is more of open and a completely different bike setup between the two. And then in the end, they take Supercross and motocross and create these, they're calling it now SMX, which is super motocross. So they'll go into a drag strip and build a track that's got almost a hybrid where you have the technicality of Supercross, but the open space of an outdoor national. And each series gains points to put your position into SMX. So in the end, there is a third champion. So you can be a Supercross champion, a motocross champion, and then an SMX champion of the whole series.
How rugged are these motocross tracks?
I mean, you've got, basically you've got all sorts of conditions. You're in the mountains, you're in hilly areas, you're dealing with everything on motocross tracks.
So you mentioned you work with Eli Tomac, which for people that may not know who he is, he's a winner. He wins. He's successful in what he does. What's that like working with a successful team and having a lot of wins under your belt as a squad?
Yeah, I mean, our whole team in general is usually contending for a title in one way or another every year, and then also winning multiple races. It makes the grind of working 31 weeks out of the year, Monday through Sunday, it makes it worth it. When you're battling for wins, you're battling for titles, everyone likes to win. If you're not winning, it can be a pretty tough situation. So we enjoy it. Like you said, Eli Tomac he's a seasoned veteran. He's late in his career, but he's still a guy that at any given moment can win on the night or win an overall championship. So it's stressful in that sense that you don't want to be the reason he misses out on the opportunity.
Yeah. So, had the privilege to be your neighbor, now your dad's neighbor. I remember the days of the track in the backyard that's now turned into a golf course. But what's something that got you into doing what you are doing now?
I mean, basically that's where it all started. Like me and my brother grew up racing locally, never really were on the level of taking it into a career, but just being a racer and having to maintain your own equipment just developed into the career path that I've taken now. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, which it doesn't feel like it. It's blown by, but that's basically where it all started. I mean, I don't get to ride that much anymore because we're so busy, but it's definitely how we got going.
For sure.
So the golf course used to be a racetrack?
Well, it originally started out as a golf course when we were really young. And then as we got dirt bikes, we kind of took it over and he allowed us to just basically tear it up. And now that we're gone, he can go back to his dream and get to chip around up there.
That's awesome.
It's an awesome setup for sure. The first round of the golf course was a little bit before my time, at least that I can remember. But I do remember the dirt track up there, and now the golf course. So you mentioned Eli is currently injured. What is his return timeline, and like what does it look like? You mentioned you're pretty slow right now, but what does that kind of look like for you guys now, and how when he comes back, what will it look like for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, so it's probably been about 3 weeks now. He broke his fibula in his leg, and after surgery and getting it plated, it was about a 6-week recovery time. So we're about 3 weeks away from potentially being released. And then timeline wise, that puts us with getting a couple weeks of practice in, racing maybe the last 2 supercrosses, and then a couple weeks into restarting with the motocross season. So it kind of it took us out of any contention of Supercross, but there's still plenty of racing left and chances to win. So we've got after Supercross, motocross, and then SMX.
Now, it feels to me like when people think of racing sports, they don't think of injuries. When you think about it, like obviously there's going to be an aspect of danger. How often do guys get hurt?
I mean, a lot. It is difficult to make it a full season without something. We've been injured the last 3 years. He had a big injury in 23. We were leading the championship, and we literally had 2 races to finish, and he blew his Achilles out and basically lost the championship because of it. And then the year after that, he did a tendon in his thumb, which took him out of outdoors because he had to get surgery on that. So this year, he actually had a really good offseason. We did some overseas races, and then it was shaping up to be good, and then just another unlucky situation. So it's common. If you make it through a series without injury, you're probably in contention for something.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So coming back home a little bit, there is the rumor on the street that you guys bought Chocolate Temptations. Is that true? And what went into that decision?
Yeah. We took over Chocolate Temptations. A lot of it had to do with it just being an iconical coffee chocolate shop for Monroe. Like growing up, I mean, going to school, you'd walk onto the square and go there, and it's something we've invested in and we've put time into and trying to grow it. It's been kind of needs a little bit of work, but it's been something that we've enjoyed, and we're excited to see where it goes.
I feel like I don't even have to ask this, but the chocolate-covered Oreos are staying, right?
Yes. We've been putting a lot of work into just getting the flavor back of coffee. Like, I love coffee. I mean, keeps me going on the daily. So getting that revamped taste-wise, bringing a bunch of new drinks. We have a manager named Megan who's put a lot of great work into just bringing some new products and just helping improve what's there. So it's been exciting. I mean, it's got a little bit of buzz around it right now. A lot of new people and new faces have been going in there. So we'll see where it goes.
Going to be open by spring break, mid-March?
Oh, we're open right now.
Awesome. I can't wait to come back home.
Yep.
One question for you. So obviously you've explained what you're doing right now. How long do you want to keep doing that? Is there like a chain that you move up in motocross racing, or what does your career pathway look like?
That's a tough call. You know, the rider I work for is getting close to retirement, whether that's next year or 2 years or 3 years from now. So it's something that we've been thinking about and working on. We don't necessarily have an exact pathway, but there is opportunity to move into different positions in the sport. There's crew chiefs, managers, suspension guys, engine guys. There's a lot of people that are behind the scenes that get a motorcycle on the track. So there is definitely a lot of opportunity.
So I throughout this entire conversation, and obviously knowing you and being able to watch what your team's success has been, I'm trying to figure out what the equivalent of your position would be to maybe a different sport. I'm kind of thinking, Ellingson, maybe like offensive coordinator. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say so, just because you are in the ear of the rider you're working for and you're around them and you have built a relationship, a trust between each other, that you are almost the last person he talks to before he hits the track every time. So yeah, I would say you are.
And, I mean, I would also assume Eli and your team might be the equivalent of the Chiefs potentially. Was that also a fair statement?
Don't bring the Chiefs into
this. It's not that far off. Last year we didn't get I don't believe last year we didn't get any of the Supercross titles, so it was tough. But usually every year we have 2 chances in the 250 class and then 1 chance in the 450 class, and usually we take one of those. So they are right now one of the most winningest teams. So that's a fair assessment.
So what you're telling me right now is we're talking to the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs of motocross and supercross. I mean, come on, that's pretty cool. That's
You
pretty
could
awesome.
also, in another sport, you could compare us to the caddies of golf.
Oh, that's actually okay. That's good. I like
That's
that.
a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I mean, golf-wise, those guys have trainers. They have swing coaches. But when they're on the course, most of the time, the caddy is their direction.
So we got Ted Scott of Scotty Shuffler's team talking to us right now. That's awesome. Hey, appreciate you taking some time out of your day to join us. You did mention that you have some big news that you want to reveal. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping to have everything finalized by today, but we're releasing a website and app for athletes and coaches in the sense of it allows a coach to program and maintain and what's the word I'm looking for? Organize the athletes he has. So there's 2 different ends. You can be an athlete or a coach on the site, and the coach can create a calendar, upload all your activities and exercises for the week, have time scheduling, and the athlete receives it on their phone after the coach uploads it. Or if you don't have a coach, you're able to go on the site, purchase a coach, and receive any sort of program that you're looking for, as long in the realm of endurance sports, motocross. You can use it in all types of school sports. It's pretty universal for what it's designed for. And it just helps athletes and coaches keep tabs on each other, really. But that should be released. Hopefully we'll have it released on the App Store tomorrow. And the app's free. It's just a subscription. App is free, and then using the program is subscription-based.
Love it. What's the name of the app going to be?
It's going to be RS Endurance, and full name is Rock Solid Endurance. But it'll be found on the web pages is www.rsendurance, and then you can find it in the App Store, Android, and Apple.
That's awesome. Clap it up for that right there. Right there. Yeah. That's awesome. That's very cool. I'm excited to see where that takes you and seeing potentially what teams or schools or players or coaches are utilizing it, because there's so many great options with that. I think it's a really, really tremendous idea. What was something that kind of made you want to do it? What was that thing that kind of propelled that idea for you?
A lot of it has to do, I mean, I train myself. I do a lot of off-season races when I have time, in the sense of like triathlons, running races, mountain bike. And one of the biggest issues is keeping yourself organized and accountable. Whereas if you have someone constantly checking if you're completing the tasks that they give you, you're more than likely gonna complete it that day. Whereas if someone just texts you, hey, do this today, they don't know if you did it or not. You could tell them you did or didn't. But with our app, if you have a Garmin watch, you're able to upload it to Strava, and then Strava sends it to our website, and then the coach can see what you accomplished for that day.
It's very cool. Very cool. Like I said, I'm super excited to see where that goes, and definitely be keeping tabs on that. I think without further ado, I think it's time to play the daily draft. Don't you say, Ellingson?
I think so.
All right, let's do it. The daily draft today is the best stadiums in the United States. Josh, not sure how familiar you are, but here's how we play. It is a 3-round snake draft. So we'll each pick 3 stadiums, and then 3 stadiums, 9 total is where I was trying to go with that. I am leading with 9 points. Ellingson and our guest, Josh, you're representing the guest. They are tied at 5 points. AB had a huge week last week. I think the first guest to actually win it. He won it with his list last week. So we'll see. Maybe Josh can continue the trend. Like I said earlier, he's got a little bit of an upper hand, being the probably majority of these stadiums. So he might know the ins and outs that we might not see on TV. So first place gets 2 points, second place gets 1 point, third place gets 0, and the winner is determined by the fan vote on our Instagram. So you will be able to go there and check that out. As guest, we give you the option. Would you like the first, the second, or the third pick?
Let's go third.
Okay, third. Ellison, you got a coin handy?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Heads or tails?
I will go. I'll go heads today.
All right. Wow, that was a one-handed
Look at
behind
this.
the back snag there, and I can't believe I caught that. It's heads. You call heads?
I did call heads.
So I made
will
that
take.
snag for you. That's unbelievable.
Appreciate that. I will take the first pick. I'll put you in the middle. So
Gotcha.
I go first, then Ellison, then Josh. I'm gonna go with bias or no bias. I will definitely be taking AT&T.
Terrible. Wow. All right, spending the first overall pick on that, and I'm immediately going to pick Lambeau Field, so I'm no better.
Yeah, there's definitely some bias there. Josh, you get 2 picks.
I'm going to go with Cowboy Stadium.
I took that.
Oh, shoot. Okay. We're going to go with Indy, the Colts Stadium.
Okay.
And then Alliant, Vegas Stadium.
Ooh, okay. That's an interesting one. I thought about that, but a newer stadium. I like that. I think that's a good pick. Ellison, back to you. Yeah.
Now, is this all stadiums or just NFL?
All stadiums.
All right, I'm going to take Camden Yards then.
Camden Yards. Okay. I will take my next pick. I got 2 to round out my draft. I would like to go with a little bit of diversity. I think I'm going to go with a little bit of diversity. I will take Madison Square Garden, and then I will also take Fenway Park. I think getting a couple different sports, and I think a lot of good history there. I think that'll be a good way to round my draft out.
All right, this might be getting way too cute because when you post this on Instagram, people aren't going to know what I'm talking about, but we're going to go with Pocono.
Pocono, okay. Is it on NASCAR?
Yes.
Okay.
Tricky Triangle.
So you took Pocono over like Daytona.
Correct.
Okay. We'll see if that works out for you. All right. Mr. Irrelevant pick, Josh, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the LA Coliseum.
Okay. I like it. That's another historical stadium. Is that a stadium you guys raced at before?
We raced there 2 years ago.
That'd be awesome.
What season finale there?
What is the coolest stadium that, like, the best experience, like one that's almost jaw dropping that you guys have raced at? Anywhere in the world, anywhere.
Anywhere in the world. I would have to say, honestly, the LA Coliseum is probably up there in probably being one of the coolest just because of the history there.
Yeah.
It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, the area for LA is not the greatest, but the stadium itself is awesome. And then they had the track built up through the bleachers and then coming back into the stadium. It was a pretty cool experience.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Josh, that's all we got for you. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day, and hopefully we can get you back on sometime soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate it. See ya. That was amazing. We were talking to the Chiefs offensive coordinator or the best golfer in the world's caddy. I mean, that was pretty legendary. And the app, man, I'm honestly a little appreciative that didn't come out while I was playing. Otherwise, I would have maybe worked a little harder than I wanted to. But hey, very, very good idea, and excited about Chocolate Temptations too.
He had me at use your Garmin watch to record to Strava. Man, it feels like that app was built for me. I have no idea what I would use it for, but it lines up perfectly.
I love it. That was pretty good. I mean, are we thinking top 3? I mean, I think that's top 3.
Oh, man. Top 3. That's not easy. Mount Rushmore for sure.
Okay,
I don't think that we put any of our guests over each other. They're all fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk top 3, there's a lot of ties in there. Let's make that clear.
Exactly.
And the Mount Rushmore, that is one big rock. There's no doubt about it.
Room for a lot of faces.
The room for a lot of faces. Maybe, I mean, this one, we could be getting better.
No.
I mean, No, there's not a chance. I don't
No.
think. I don't think so either. I don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk a little bit of high school basketball, our second guest, the first time I've ever said that on the podcast, Freddy Herrera.
What's up?
Fred, what's new? I haven't seen you for so long.
I know it's been a little bit.
Wow.
I feel like I've seen like you more recently than I've seen or talked to Elson, if anything.
Well, Elson's on like the other side.
You
of
would
the
think
country.
so.
He's like, yeah. I mean, he doesn't leave his room much. They get snow days every other day, and
you
doing
guys
some
get
weird
snow days
Oklahoma
for like
stuff.
half an inch of snow over there, or what?
Well, yes. So you get like an inch of snow. That's enough. However, the big thing that happened is we had like a legit blizzard blow through. We're talking like 7-8 inches of snow. I swear it was up to a foot in some really drifty spots. And we got out Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That was pretty nice. It's also weird. That's not a normal amount of snow.
3 days in a row.
It's crazy.
It's like mini spring break.
Love it. Fred, how's Edgewood? Out there in Edgewood right now, we're going to talk some basketball. You've self-proclaimed expert. We're going to take your word for it. But what's Edgewood? How's that treating you? Pretty much
Amazing.
3/4 of the way through.
It's really, really amazing. You get the big city life of Madison, and then you get like the regular like high school classroom size classes. It's really, really good.
Love it. See, you got a Badger sweatshirt on. How often do you get out to a Badger game through, football, now into basketball?
Oh my goodness. Home football season, I went to every single football game, tailgated beforehand, then I went. When it comes to basketball games, I've been able to go to 5 basketball games this year. So,
Nice.
yeah, I'm going to one on Saturday too as well. Penn
Who
State at
play?
Wisconsin.
Penn State. Okay.
Yep.
Does Edgewood, being at Edgewood, is there any anything for the students at Wisconsin events? Is that any partnership there? Is it
No.
yeah?
We can use the UW library.
Well, that's very kind of them to share the library. Very nice of them. Love it. All right, let's talk something about what the people really want to hear. We'll get to the rankings. How about let's review the rankings? Let's do that. Okay, let's do it. We got the rankings here. Our rankings are presented by first time. Also, we got sponsorship. We'll be continuing to unveil those as we get them. Elson and I have been working hard on that. Presented by R&R Auto Sales and Judah. R&R is a place to go if you're in the market for a used car or a full car detail. They have a large selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Call 608-934-5400 or check them out at rnrautosales.net. R&R Auto Sales is the official automotive partner of Ripper Brands. With that being said, here are your rankings. Monticello, Judah, the only team movement between both the girls and boys. Obviously, we are into a little bit of playoff basketball, so there's not a lot of games being played. Some teams' seasons are already over. Some teams are still going. And like we've talked about before, these rankings are going to go through the entire playoffs. So if one team makes a run to state, we're going to keep rolling them out. And then after that, get to look forward to the good old trusty all-area teams. Freddie, how do we feel about the rankings? And are these the best thing you've ever seen in your life?
One thing I will say is Albany is not in the playoffs anymore, and neither is Evansville. So I don't necessarily see why they should be above Belleville.
Oh, above Belleville. Well, Fred,
Yeah.
you do understand the criteria and the formula for the.
I do not understand the criteria when it comes to the rankings.
He does not understand. So we got a hater. Who let this guy on?
I'm not hating. I'm just making a little adjustment.
He's arguing with the truth. This is unbelievable.
Unreal.
Gonna
Dude.
come on the
you
podcast
understand?
and just throw shade at the ratings?
I mean,
No
who do you
way.
think you are, man? Do you understand what kind of leverage we have here? I mean, these people.
I'm critiquing the rankings by a little bit. Little bit.
All right, fine. Be like that. I gotta say though, so recently, probably last, I don't know, it's actually probably going on a month now, but time's been flying. We've been posting these on TikTok. The TikTok people, I don't think they quite understand the rankings that we're doing because they're like, it's crazy. You have a 3-win team in the top 10. They don't quite understand the area, the little greater Green County area.
Yeah, they probably
they're wondering
straight up like Division 5 or something.
They don't quite understand it, and I have to laugh every time at them because maybe if they just understood what the area means. I understand area, region, state, national. They're all the same. I get it. But it's kind of funny sometimes. Maybe they just need to watch the podcast and we explain it a little bit.
Too many stupid people on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't like the
Yeah.
TikTok people. Maybe we'll might have to stop posting on there. Stupid TikTok people. Whatever.
We
All right,
don't
Fred.
need their viewership.
Yeah.
Nope.
Screw them. Anyways, Fred, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So I got to say, I wrote a couple questions down in terms of this. And the first question is, what team would be best set up for success and an opportunity to get back to what I wrote down as Camp Randall, but I really mean the Cole Center.
Road to the Cole. So I did a ceiling. I did a floor and a ceiling. Let's get started with this. Let's start with every single team's floor and ceiling. So for number 1 ranked Darlington Redbirds, so their floor, like bottom of the bottom, I think they lose in the regional final. That's a 50-50. That's a 50-50
Which is
on the
that's
floor.
this. I mean, that's
They
the
play
games where
Cuba. They
face.
play Cuba City in the regional final. So, well, they could potentially play Cuba City.
If they
And
win, then they play Cuba.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the ceiling, I potentially have them as this is the one team where I'm like iffy on the ceiling. It's either their ceiling is either the sectional semifinals where they lose, or I potentially have them getting to that Final Four and reaching the state semi-playoffs.
Really? So there's no state championship in their DNA.
No.
They're not there.
But they will make it to the Cole Center by the fact that they were the last 4 teams remaining. So somewhat road to Cole if you want to go along with that.
So, Fred, you understand, though, if they do win state, we're turning you into a meme. What you just said, we're going to clip it, and we're going to post it everywhere, and then every person in Darlington is going to have your face written on a basketball that is being dunked into the hoops.
Go for it. Go for it.
You know their coach has this up on his phone right now, and he's just
this is locker room material, 100%.
This is 100%. Okay, let's get into the so that's the floor and the ceiling for Darlington. So now we have Argyle, who's number 2 in your rankings. Their floor, I have them is losing in the regional semifinal, which is the game that will be played on Friday. That is their floor. Their ceiling potentially is sectional semifinals where they could potentially be matched up against the number 3 team in D5. So that is where I have Argyle. So they can make it pretty far. Sectional semifinals is really, really far. I have a very high ceiling on Argyle than I really should. But
good team.
They are really good if they can get rolling, but if
they don't always pass the alphabet test, but they're a pretty good, solid team.
Yeah.
When they step foot on that court, man, watch out.
Okay, and then here is where we have the number 3 Monroe Cheesemakers. So the floor and the ceiling. This floor, so their floor, keep in mind these rankings were some of these were made before yesterday's games, which were the first rounds, and are a little bit updated.
Well, the Cheesemakers had a massive blowout against
they
the Eagles.
They did.
So.
And that is why their floor is regional semifinal, which is the game played this Friday. Once again, they're matched up against the number 3 ranked team in Division 2, which is Mount Horeb. They are already 0-1 against Mount Horeb on the year. So
Mount Horeb is really good.
They are. They have the number 5th ranked junior in Wisconsin, in Josh Manchester.
Shout out Josh.
Yep. But here is where I have a little hope. If Monroe can get rolling and upset Mount Horeb, I have their ceiling potentially all the way up to sectional final. They lose in the sectional final. So not quite getting to the top 4.
Is there any bias in that? Is that like me saying Riley Leonard's going?
No, because if you go and look at the sectional, Monroe has played very close with every single one of those teams in the sectional.
Okay.
They lost to Milton on a buzzer beater, who's someone they could potentially play if they upset Mount Horeb. So they they have a lot of close games on that other side of the bracket, which is why it gives me such a high ceiling, just the way the bracket's set up, realistically speaking. All right, and then for your number 4 Pecatonica Vikings.
Whoa, hang on a second. Don't be saying you're number 4. You're one of us now.
Okay, our number
Our
4,
Me
our
number
number 4.
four. Just
Okay,
our
okay,
number four.
our number 4 Pecatonica Vikings. This really pains me to say it, but their floor and their ceiling are basically the same thing because
This game or what?
they won their game yesterday, which was originally their floor.
Okay.
And then their ceiling was the game played on Friday.
They're going to lose is what you're saying.
Yeah. I
Prepay.
have them I have their ceiling at Abundant Life Christian on Friday. They're
Wow.
the number 9th ranked team in D5, I believe. They play really, really fast pace, but so unfortunately, it pains me to say, but
Don't be hating on Peck, dude. Come on.
I'm not hating on Peck. This is what
Do you
I
understand what Peck does for Argyle? Do you understand what they do?
just.
Argyle cannot.
I am still blocked by Pecatonica student section.
Oh
So
no, Fred, what did you do?
when we played them for their homecoming, was it
Like
sophomore year?
4 years ago, 4 years
Yeah,
ago
and-
now.
Well,
Long-standing
whoever ran the
That's
account
beef.
our sophomore year forgot to unblock me.
Man. Or they
So-
intentionally they didn't forget anything.
It was a
potentially.
choice.
If anything, I didn't forget anything by doing that.
So you're
No
telling me
ranking.
there's not a single person from Pecatonica or Argyle that'll be watching because they see your face on our show. You've ruined our reputation because why? Who said yes to letting you on, Fred? Come on, Fred.
We don't have a reputation. Come on.
Yeah, Ellingson. I mean, I can't be very high. Ellingson, and no one in Judah watches our shows because of Ellingson.
You're welcome. No one lives in Judah.
Oh,
I don't
that's
think
true.
we're missing out on much.
Okay,
That's
I'm with Elston on this. I hate to say this. I'm with Elson on this. No,
Let's go.
Judah's
Get the
got a better
movement
girls
rolling.
basketball team than we do.
Yeah,
That's saying very little.
They got better, but we can't hate on them. We
Okay.
don't no bias. We don't hate on anybody.
So next up on our rankings is number 5, New Glarus Glarner Knights. Their floor, I have them. Their floor is the regional finals, which is the games played on Saturday. So I have them winning their game on Friday, and then their floor is losing the game on Saturday, and who it looks like they're going to be matched up against Platteville, possibly. So, and then their ceiling, I'm also very, very high on New Glarus as well. I have, I've been to not a lot. I've probably been to like 3 games and watched them play in person, and they are just shooters and shooters and shooters. So I have their ceiling as the sectional semifinal. So making it past Friday and Saturday, but not quite winning next Friday. So I have them losing to possibly Lodi, and then if not, then losing this. Oh yeah, this was another one where I have them either making it to the sectional semifinal, winning, or losing in the sectional final. So in the semifinal, they could possibly be paired up with Lodi, but Lodi's a little bit iffy. And if they are, and they upset Lodi, then I see them losing to Edgerton in the sectional final, who Edgerton,
Good team.
they are really good. They are the number 3 ranked team in D3, yeah. Edgerton is a lot better than I thought they were.
Shout out Edgerton.
Yep. And then number 6, Broadhead Cardinals. I have their floor as regional semifinals, which is this Friday. I have them losing to the Dells. That could be their floor. Or their ceiling to me is they upset the Dells and lose to Lodi. Just from what I've seen, just plain and simple. And then the last team that is alive in the playoffs in the rankings is our number 9th ranked Belleville Wildcats. And their floor I have is they could potentially lose in the sectional semifinals. They're paired up against Darlington, who is our number 1. And then their ceiling, if this team can get going, if you had a counter for how many times I said if this team can get going, but if this team can get going and they upset Darlington, I have their ceiling up to potentially sectional semifinals. If they can upset Darlington, they can push through the bracket up until they're ranked with number 1 ranked Mineral Point. And then in that case, I don't think they're making it past Mineral Point. Mineral Point's number 1 in D4 right now.
Mineral Point. Shout out Chris Carr.
He's turned that program around. About that, yeah.
Oh my lord! They win multiple state championships a year.
Well, that's realistically speaking, that's who. If Darlington makes it, that's who I have Darlington losing.
We got to get him on the pod. We got to get Chris Carr on the pod.
You really should.
Well, then we got to get Ryan. Him and Ryan have a bromance or something.
Yeah, they did.
Weird. Another double guest episode coming right up.
We got Ryan. We got Ryan coming out. We can get maybe their spring breaks aligned, and we can get Carr on there and then too. Watch out. That might work. Watch out. Watch out. It just takes one. If they can get hot, you never know.
I do also have one player to watch from every team.
All right, let's go. We got players. Okay. Run through these quick.
All right, for Darlington, you have number 12, Brooker Busher. I don't know how to say his last name. He's a 6'3" junior, averaging 19.9 points per game, 8.5 rebounds a game, and 3.7 assists per game. He can get a bucket from whenever and wherever. He's also a shooter. He's 39.9% from the 3, and he is a 2-time first-team All-SWAL.
Are you telling me is this an all-area team watch list that we're hearing right now?
I mean, if take it however you want, I guess.
I might need to be writing these names down. Is what you're telling me. Too bad the fans vote. I don't have anything to say about it.
For number 2, Argyle, I have a 6'2" senior, number 10, Ike Wagi, averaging 17.8 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game. He is really athletic and explosive, but he also, I'm saying this just because me and him are really close. He's a shot chucker. He's a shot chucker. His shots must fall. Man. His shots must fall.
Hey, you miss 100% of shots you don't take.
Yep. And then for number 3, Monroe, I have number 2, 5'9" junior, Makai Brown. I feel like they're being a little giving with the 5'9".
Okay. That's a shot, right? I mean, shooters shoot as they say, I guess. But
15.5 points per game out of Makai, 4.2 rebounds per game. That's a lot of rebounds for someone who's 5'9". Realistically thinking about that. 3.3 assists
maybe
a game.
5'4".
Yeah. Makai, he's a bucket getter. He's 44.8% from the 3. Here. 43 from 96 on the year.
Get the stud.
Yeah. For number 4, Pecatonica Argyle, I have number 3, Griffin Knoll, a 5'11" sophomore, averaging 25.1 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game.
Talk about a bucket getter.
When I talk about green light and confidence, this kid will pull it from the volleyball line. He's got the ultimate green light from what I've been able to see, and he's got a go-to, which is a nice little pull-up midi from the elbow, and it's disgusting because it falls every time. That's something I've seen. Number 5, New Glarus. We have a New Glarus is the ones I couldn't get the heights or anything for, so I don't know how well he's actually doing.
Listen here,
Yeah.
New Glarus. You got to
So-
get your crap together and get those stats
Yeah.
uploaded ASAP. Come
New
on.
Glarus is the only school that doesn't have their stats public on West Sports.
Come on, New
At least
Glarus.
on our rankings. At least
on,
on our
Mitch.
rankings.
Come on.
So their player to watch just from the eye test, Brecken Thompson. He's a senior. I want to say he's probably like 6'2". He's an amazing shooter. When he gets hot and going, he will not miss. I have written down here microwave. He can get going. He's also, from what I've seen, he can defend anyone on the court from what I've been able to see. Number 6, Broadhead Cardinals. Player to watch is 6'1" senior, number 1, Cullen Walker, averaging 23 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, on 4.2 assists per game.
Come on,
Cullen, he's just confident. He gets a shot, and he is 3-time All-Conference for the Rock Valley.
Watch out.
Stud. And then last but not least for Belleville, I have 6'3" senior, number 3, Adam Can, 14.7 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. All I've seen is just this kid shoot from 3. That's all I've written down here. Shooter, unlimited range.
Come on now.
He just shoots it, and it somehow manages to find its way at the bottom of the bucket every time. So
hey, you need those kind of guys.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. This is March, man. That's what you need in March,
bro.
That's what you need, and it only takes one. I mean, any of these teams. You told me the floor and ceilings that the road to Cole is not looking too hot for our area, but in the same time, it just got to get past that one team and watch out.
It's got to get hot.
They could upset a lot of teams. A lot of our area teams could upset, like, because a lot of them are paired up against like Madison area. So especially in those lower divisions, I don't know. Anything's possible in the lower divisions, to be completely honest. But when it gets to those higher divisions, it's like I feel like it's almost set in stone.
Fred, we got some movement behind you. I sort of got. I could be seeing things, but I think I saw like a little shadow poke through the crack there. I could be tripping, but I think
it probably was one of the baseball guys.
Okay, all right. I might be seeing some things that might come back in my nightmares tonight, but I think I saw something. So watch out behind you. Just watch your back, man.
We've all got nightmares on this pod.
We got. Ellingson gives me them every night, man.
I bet.
All right, Fred. Let's make some game picks. How about that?
Okay, let's go for
it. We got sectionals in the girls section or girls side of things. They got 2 teams remaining in that.
Oh boy, I don't know anything about girls.
Hey, Fred.
Let's get into it.
Shoot.
Neither do we.
We don't know anything about girls or boys, so at least you got an upper hand in that. And then obviously we ran through a lot of teams on the boys' side. We'll start in the girls section where we got Belleville taking on Cuba City. How did we do this last time? I went last. We'll go Ellingson, Fred, then me. How about that?
All right, so I get to pick first. I'm going to go with Cuba City here. I used to not know the difference between Cuba and Cuba City, and I just think that's kind of funny, so that's my pick.
I've heard Belleville's kind of been rolling lately, but Cuba City is like more of a basketball. They have basketball in their culture. I'm sticking it through with Cuba City. I'm sorry, Belleville.
All right, so I like that. 2 Cuba City teams taking, their 2 Cuba City picks going against the local team. Belleville, I do believe, knocked off the number 2 team, Peck Argyle, so watch out for that. Cuba City, that's like, I don't know. I don't like that because I don't think Cuba City's big enough to be a city. I'll take Belleville. Maybe not. They could have. I don't
Cuba
even
Village.
Definitely not.
Cuba Town. Cuba Town. I like that. I don't know how many people are in Cuba City. They can't be that much if they're playing Belleville.
Probably not.
3,000-ish, maybe.
How about this? Madison Country Day. Never heard of this place in my life. Fred, do you know this place being up there?
If I'm gonna be completely honest, in my time here, I've been looking for like those small D5 college like schools that are like have like Madison, and I'd have zero clue where that school is.
Country Day. Maybe they're in the country and they only play at day. I don't know, but they're taking on the best team that we probably have ever seen in our lifetimes, Albany Monticello.
As nice as a Madison Country Day sounds, hanging out down here in Tulsa, we're going to go with the juggernaut Albany Monticello.
I think this is just a no-brainer. Albany Monticello. They won. This was two co-ops that did. They co-op this year. This is their first year co-oping, isn't it? Or
No, I think this
second?
one, you're probably thinking the Monticello New Glarus co-op. That's not a thing. I don't know, but they've been together for some time, I think. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I'm taking Albany Monticello.
You actually, they might, you probably know more about girls basketball than I do. So
I feel like they won state last year. I feel like they did. Or maybe they made it to state. They did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Maybe that's volleyball. I don't know. I can't keep track. I'm gonna go with them. They're the best team I've ever seen in my life in girls basketball. Maybe with the exception of the Coach Sam Matheson teams. Those were some legendary. You got the Matheson girls. You got Hilliard. You got the Benchalls. I mean, that was a dominant era for Cheesemaker basketball. Sad to see where it's went, but it's understandable. It happens. But this is a juggernaut, like you said. I'll take Albany Monticello. That's a clean sweep. Boys basketball. We got, if my math's good, 6 teams going at it. 6 games, I should say. We got a couple, like one game actually, features 2 area teams that it's going to be absolutely legendary because we know that environment's going to be crazy. But we'll start in the local team, the Monroe Cheesemakers, taking on Mount Horeb, a heavy.
You should have saved this one for last.
This is a crazy game.
You should have.
Let's actually save it for last, I said.
Yeah, can we save this for last?
The end of the slate.
Okay, let's do it. I'm going to go backwards here. Broadhead taking on Wisconsin Dells.
Wisconsin Dells.
Fred, come on. Who are you? No,
because last episode I was interrupting our guests and it was embarrassing. It was brutal. I couldn't control myself. But as far as I'm aware, I'm our first picker here. I can't believe that Wisconsin Dells even has a basketball team. I just think of it as the water park. So I can't pick 12 and 13 Broadhead over, and we got to go Dells.
I will indeed go the Dells with Elson as well.
Yeah, I really can't get over the fact that I'm thinking about a water slide or the wave pool right now. Here in the Dells, considering it just snowed today, I'm struggling with that aspect of life, and I need a little bit of adrenaline in the water, you could say. I'm gonna go Broadhead though. I don't think Wisconsin Dells even has a high school. There's not enough people that live there. Well, let's go New Glarus and River Valley.
Got me thinking about water slides, indoor water park season, maybe. River Valley it is.
Okay.
This one's a really, really good one. I think New Glarus gets hot. Their 3s fall. New Glarus over River Valley.
I like New Glarus too. I don't have a rhyme or reason, but to me, the tiebreaker, I'll take the local team, the same record. They got to be just as good. I heard that they have a dude that cooks in a microwave. I'll take New Glarus. Argyle and Belmont.
Argyle, easy pick.
Once again, easy pick, Argyle.
Talk about the alphabet test. This is a closer game than you probably think. Belmont only wins this one by 1. Belmont is a basketball school, but who am I kidding? Argyle's going to win this game. They're the best team in that matchup specifically. And we'll go to this one here as we continue inch our way back to the potential game of the week. We got Pecatonica taking on Abundant Life.
I love me some Abundant Life. Very philosophical. Let's go with Abundant Life, wherever that is.
I will also take Abundant Life over Pecatonica.
Yeah, I will stand for that. My area team, I stand with the local teams. Shout out Abundant Life, but I will stand with Pecatonica. I take the 14-11 Pecatonica Vikings. I like their opportunity. They're a good team. They got a cool logo. I like the V. Belleville, Darlington, 2 heavyweight matchup teams. Number one team take. What is Belleville? They're mid-pack. Maybe
they're
they're a little bit on the lower side of the mid area,
yeah.
I would say. Yeah. But Darlington, is this clean sweep, Elson?
This is another shoe in Darlington.
Darlington's gonna let it rain.
I don't know, man. You heard what Fred had to say about Belleville. You heard what they had to say, but the only team what I picked up from it is the only team that has a chance to get to the Kohl Center is Darlington, except maybe the Cheesemakers or New Glarus or Broadhead or Argyle or Pigatonica if they get hot.
Okay,
So
now
we'll
you're just
see.
starting to list off every single area team.
Give us a Disney movie when one of these teams wins state.
Yeah,
Please.
Freddie is going to be in the intro video with his meme. Yeah, love it. I'll take Darlington too. I think they're a really solid team. I think that's a team that you got to take until proven otherwise. And then the game of the week, the one that I got rejected trying to show earlier, literally probably 5 minutes ago, Monroe taking on Mount Horeb, a heavyweight. This is pretty much turned into a rivalry. Friday night lights, as they say in the gym. What do we got?
I've chosen against a lot of area teams, and that ends now. Monroe by 40.
Ooh, I'm getting the chills. This is this real?
Okay, wow.
Come on, let's go.
Wow.
42-2 is final score prediction.
Wow.
42-2. Wow. That's very, very bold. This one could go either way. It really could. It just depends on how well Monroe shuts down Mount Horeb's Josh Manchester. Because what I'm thinking is Mount Horeb's offense purely relies on nothing but Josh Manchester. When you've got a guy that can easily put up 35 at the end of the night. If Monroe locks them down, I'm going to go Monroe over Mount Horeb.
Oh, come on. Let's go. Come on. Okay, so we got 2 Monroe picks, and then it's my turn. And I think about what my glorious king, Pat McAfee, would do in a situation like this on College Game Day. He starts singing, "Here's to Monroe High School, Crimson." You're not going to sing with me? And
No.
white.
No, I'm good.
Here's to our fellows.
Have fun, though.
Fight with all your might. Fight, fight, fight. Give me the cheesemakers in a big time game over Mount Horeb.
Cheesemakers are rolling into Mount Horeb.
Clean sweep for the cheesemakers on the road against Mount Horeb. Hopefully no one from Mount Horeb watches this, but I will take the cheesemakers big time over the Mount Horeb. What are they? The Vikings too?
Vikings.
Whatever. Their V sucks. Their logo sucks compared to Pecatonicas. I've heard
Below average V.
They don't even have a V. It's MH. I mean, come on. It's gross. It's gross. How about that? Hey, Fred, what's on the agenda the rest of the night? You got any homework to do?
Yeah, actually, I have an econ essay that's due
Oh, no.
tomorrow that I should
Writing.
probably get started on.
You haven't started that? Oh, boy.
No, but it's only like a 2-pager. It's a
Okay.
couple
What's
They
it
got
about?
you-
Give me the
I
specifics.
don't know. I haven't opened the prompt yet.
Gotcha.
They got you writing essays in econ? Man.
Don't even get me started about my econ professor, dude.
Oh, no.
He's
Freddie,
not
just so you
very
know.
well liked around at Edgewood College.
when price goes up, I think demand goes down, right?
When price
Yeah.
goes up, yes.
Yes. Let's
Good call.
go. I'm in macro econ right now, and that's been my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, micro for me, yeah.
Micro for me
A
too.
little odd. I don't know if he's watching or not, but I was on the bus riding to campus. I live off campus on like the off campus dorms or whatever. Got on the bus and my professor gets on the bus, sits in front of me. Doesn't know who I am clearly, but I rode the bus sitting next to my professor to that class. A little weird, or no?
Didn't know who you were.
No, didn't know who I was. No.
That could not happen at Edgewood.
Yeah, it's a bigger lecture hall.
Yeah,
Actually
makes
has
sense.
chalkboards, which is kind of nuts, but Yeah.
Chalkboards.
there you go.
Is that the one where you sent me the picture of you working on your draft board midway through class?
That was math class.
Ah.
Yep.
You worked on your draft board during math class.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird situation in there, but we're actually starting to like that was a class. I bombed my placement test, so I got kind of placed into like the entry stuff, and I got learning pretty much the things that I already know. So I'm kind of bored in there. But we're like stuff we're doing today, man. I can't say Bordner's ever taught me that in my life because holy cow, some crazy stuff, man. That's some crazy math. I don't even know.
I was playing rock paper scissors in my math class 2 days ago, or yesterday actually.
How about that? Hey, Fred, how do you feel that Miss Bartles is coming on the episode?
I did not know that until right now. That's news
Yeah,
to me.
she's coming on. I think it's the day after April Fool's Day, so we might have to pull a prank. But yeah, I think that'll be good. We might have to have you back on. We'll get
I
Pete
do
Wet.
know. I
For,
do know I will be seeing her next Tuesday because the job fair in Monroe at the high school. I have to go work that for First National. So.
There you go. How about that? So we'll see you at the job share. Should we? How about Ripper Brands gets a booth? We should be hiring some people. What can we hire them for, Elson?
That's what I was.
Money you gonna? What money are you gonna use to employ them?
All of Ethan's, obviously.
Clearly. Duh. Stupid question.
I got my my mug of change over here.
His coin that he flips every episode. That's gotta be worth.
It's always a different coin. It's not the same coin.
Did you see the phone that Adrian Wojnarowski's auctioning off?
Yeah, he's auctioning different phones that he used to make different announcements, which is crazy.
This guy right here. I mean, I post those rankings that people love every single day. This has got to be worth something, right? We can pay with that.
Worth the resale value.
When TikTok got banned, people were selling their phones at GameStop for like $9,000.
I did not hear about that. Why didn't I do that?
I should have done that. I thought about doing it, but
I didn't hear. It's good. It's news to me. But yeah, maybe we'll see you April 2nd or whenever she's coming on. I'm not sure, but she'll be here.
All right.
Maybe we probably won't have any basketball, but we'll talk some softball. You want to talk some softball?
I don't know anything softball.
We'll get on it, man. I'm giving you a month notice. And we'll see you at the job fair. We're looking for some content creators.
Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Freddy Herrera. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you, boys.
Yeah, we'll see you. Freddy Herrera. How about that?
That was definitely a guest.
That was a guest for sure. That was something.
By the way, before we go to halftime here, can you still hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
I did a ball knowledge check because I was thinking, okay, this is way too much actual ball knowledge to have on our Ripper Brands basketball segment.
Yeah.
And by the way, you were correct. It is a 2-year co-op, not a 1-year. So you were right about that.
I'm always right.
Congratulations.
You think I just put out false information to the people?
Yes.
Come on now. Dude, I don't know about you, but 1 hour first half, I'm ready for bed. I'm exhausted. I could literally take a nap. I was holding back the yawns.
20 minutes.
Yeah, we better cruise through this second half. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan Rollins still, Elson Gratz. See you on the other side. Oh, you're in here.
Where you been?
Okay, this is crazy right now because it says we're still live.
I think we were live that entire time. They couldn't see me. It was just the podcast background with the music playing. I don't think we ever got to halftime.
Are we back?
We're so back.
I'm pulling it up. I want to make sure that we are back. We're not talking to nobody. So I think it just might be frozen. Okay, yeah, we're back. Right here.
There we go. I
Ladies
think we
and
still have
gentlemen.
to roll the whole halftime interlude, though. I don't think we ever got that.
We might need to go back to halftime. I don't know.
Double break.
Agent's iPhone cellular hotspot came in clutch there, so we are back, better than ever. Ethan Ellingson, Gratz. Sorry for that. Actually, last couple days, when I get back to my dorm, the internet here, it takes like 20 minutes to connect. Not sure why, and then all of a sudden it connects. I ended up getting on here tonight, but just randomly went out. Something must be going on. I'm not sure. So sorry about the little delay. I'm happy this is what resulted because I was concerned maybe we might have to make a whole nother video or something and go live again. But we're back. I'm Ethan. That's Ellison. We got part 2 to do. We're going to get to the ads because if you didn't think I needed a nap.
Came back in for the ads, folks. We hope you're excited.
Welcome back for the ads. How about that? All right, let's cue the background music. Ethan Ellison Gratz. We'll see you on the other side of the ads. Just want to remind you about the best sunflower seeds in the business. Baseball and softball season is right around the corner, and we want to make sure you are well prepared. Scan the QR code on your screen and check out Smackin' Sunflower Seeds. Get yourself some of the best seeds in the business. Do it now so you don't forget. Are you a fan of Grant Horvat or Ben Kruber? If so, you are in luck. Scan the QR code or head over to primalgolfapparel.com and use code RIPPER for 15% off your next order. Make sure you check them out and get yourself some of their high-quality golf apparel now.
The following podcast features half-biased and controversial sports takes. All predictions are simply predictions, and we truly don't know what will happen. We will try our best to keep you entertained, but no guarantees. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to our show. Much love, Ripper Brands.
Oh boy.
And now we're back.
We're back. Wow. That was a whirlwind of 5 minutes. What an episode this has been. First double guest. We got Fred giving hope to every team, but then also shutting them all down.
Ripping it all away.
We're talking to the best PGA Tour players caddy of motocross. We got internet disabling connections is where I was going with that. And now we're back. Episode 68 is one for the record books. Oh my golly. Whew. I'm gonna sleep good tonight, Elson. I gotta say,
queuing up the music there. Are we gonna have a third halftime?
No. We're done. We're gonna get to what the people want to hear.
All right. Second half, clutching up.
Yeah, second half, we're here. Didn't think we'd make it, but we made it. I gotta say, the outfit I'm currently wearing, the gray sweatpants with the Red Ripper hoodie, I think I've worn the last like 3 episodes. Every Wednesday, I think this might be my go-to outfit. I will I'll give you my word. I'll try my best to not wear this next week. I'll give you something new.
It's iconic. Sell it for $9,000 to the highest bidder.
We got to find a way to pay these people the job fair. Hopefully I don't get an email saying, "Are you really coming to the job fair?"
We don't even know what we're hiring them for either.
I don't even know what day of the week it is. I'm assuming it's at the high school, but
I think it's Wednesday.
Yeah, we can't make it. Live podcast from the job fair.
Today is Wednesday. I don't know what day the job fair is.
Oh. Yeah, I'm asking about the job fair. I know what day today is.
Hey, I know most of the time. Don't judge.
All right. That's fine. You want to know something that's weird? The viewership, based on what I can see, it like peaked like right when we went offline. Is that weird? Like when we came back, we had more viewers than we had like the entire episode before, like before the episode.
Well, if we've still got any, better get into it.
Not very many, but we got a couple, I think. Yeah, there you go. All right, Grazie. Let's do this. We got some PGA Tour to talk about, some NFL offseason, the crazy NFL offseason. It's just been a crazy
Wild.
day all over. And we'll talk a little bit NFL combine reactions and team needs that are high up on the rankings, or I should say, like the draft order. A lot to get to, man. A lot to get to. But first, PGA Tour. Arnold Palmer Invitational, one of the big first tournaments of the season. Not a bad week. 417 last week, moving up in the rankings. That's always good. How about this roster, though, Ellingson? Wyndham Clark, Maverick, McNeely, Ludwig Oberg, Ben On, Daniel Berger, and Max McGreevy. Rounding it out, Captain Ludwig. Going to see what we can do. How are we feeling, Ellingson? Do we got a chance? We're still searching for that correct winning pick.
This feels like just an absolutely loaded lineup of names. I mean, you got Wyndham, Maverick, Ludwig, Young,
Ben
Unan,
Ben On.
Ben On.
That's
Berger?
like that might be more of like abbreviated nickname type thing, but they
Makes
refer to
sense.
him as Ben on tour.
Berger and McGravy making me hungry. It's going to be a fantastic week of fantasy golf.
Yeah, I think we got a chance. I really do. We don't have Scotty picked, but we kind of gotta pace ourselves to try and get him and choose one of his. He hasn't won yet this year, so we'll see. Cognizant Classic though, Ellison. Kind of a fun tournament. A course that's it was in the storylines a lot because day one there was some crazy low scores, and this is typically PGA National, I believe, or PGA West, PGA something down there in the Palm Beaches of Florida. This is a course that's usually pretty difficult, and scores are tough to come by, but a lot of low scores, including Jake Knapp's 59, which I think there's been like under 15 players all the time that have broke 60. But Jake Knapp shoots a 59 on Thursday. He ended up not winning the tournament. Instead, Joe Highsmith seems like a classic teacher looking for a name type thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, so-and-so, Joe Highsmith, walking down the street, how far do they walk in
I think
25 seconds?
Joe Highsmith is like a linebacker from the 80s.
Really?
That's what it sounds
There you
like
go.
to me.
He's a bucket hat kind of guy. He had a crazy Sunday, comes back and wins the tournament. A guy that a lot of people may know, Jordan Spieth, had wrist surgery over the offseason. He's in the last 2 of 3 week Sundays. He's been in contention, so things are looking good for him. That's what we got, Ellison. PGA Tour rolling right along. We're starting to Arnold Palmer. That's kind of a good little stretch. We got some good tournaments coming up here. It's kind of weird. Like, you think like the PGA Tour season would peak like in the summer months, like June and July, but like it peaks like March, April, May. So we're in it right now. We're getting into that point where it's fun to watch, and we'll see. Should be
Best
a lot
part
of
of
good
the
stuff.
PGA season. So the name of the next tournament, it starts with A and it ends with P. And this is 2 words that I can never say back to back. So if I can get this, I'm going to be really happy. Arnold Palmer. Let's go. I screw that up so many times when I'm talking
real?
about the drink. Arnold Palmer. Oh, I think I finally did it. This
Is that like that's a real thing?
Yeah,
You can't say it.
I was always like, for some reason, like Arnold Palmer.
Huh.
Palmer. That kind of thing.
Happens.
Maybe learning Spanish helped. I don't know.
Yeah.
Leveling up the language.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the NFL offseason. I mean, the last 48 hours have been absolutely insane. I don't know what happened. If someone sent a mass email that said the script writers have their hands on it, we said we got to put some action for the people, or what the deal is. But boy, it's been busy. We got a lot of headlines to get to, so we'll try and cruise through those. But I think without further ado, should we dive in, Grazie?
Let's do it. I'm excited.
We'll start with the Bengals defensive end, Sam Hubbard, a cornerstone, a veteran leader for them, is retiring officially. Congrats on a great career to him. I'm not sure if he's watching or not, but what kind of impact does this have on the Bengals, Gratz?
I think it has virtually none. And I hate to say that.
Okay.
Sam Hubbard is actually not a super old player. I looked it up and he's like 29.
Yeah.
he was really awful last year. He was one of the worst pass rushers in the NFL, and his run defense, which has been his staple throughout his career, he's like the poster child for a second defensive end because he's just such a good run stopper. That kind of fell off as well. I think he's making the right decision because my guess is injuries were probably starting to catch up for him. Just didn't play with the same strength that he used to, and it's good to see an NFL player who's still on the right side of 30 hanging up early and protect their bodies. So I think that the Bengals were already going to go pass rusher in the draft, just even more so now with Hubbard out of the equation.
Yeah, you kind of like to see a guy who's able to retire on their own terms.
Definitely.
And for him, I think he's able to do that. A guy that I'm assuming has pretty good post-career plans if he's retiring young and feels pretty capable over there in Ohio Fry over there. How about the Bears? On the move, upgrading the offensive line, they traded a 2026 fourth-round pick to the Chiefs for Joe Thuney, who seems like an absolute steal, and then to the Rams, a 2025 sixth-round pick for Jonah Jackson. Bears sucked like historically bad in the sack category last year. They're adding some much-needed improvement to that offensive line, maybe a little bit more in the draft, but Caleb Williams might be the happiest man on earth.
Ethan, I don't like to say this, but I'm scared because I think Ben Johnson is sending a message here. He went up to Ryan Poles and he said, Ryan, we're competing this year. We're done being cellar dwellers. We got Caleb Williams, a great quarterback on a rookie contract. We know he's a great quarterback. We just have to put the right pieces around him. We need you to go out and make some moves. And like you said, I think that these are both steals. Joe Thuney was absolutely fantastic for the Chiefs this year. People are going to say, oh, he sucks. I watched him in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was Joe Thuney playing left tackle. He's never played tackle before. He's a guard. He was okay for them because they needed to kick him out to left tackle down the stretch. He was an all-pro caliber guard this year, and they got him for a fourth-round pick. Jonah Jackson, another really solid guard for the Rams. He's going to be an easy starter for them. And here's what's so great about the Bears' offensive line. They're not bad at the tackle spots. They got Darnell. I always confuse Darnell Wright and Darnell Washington. One of them's a tight end for the Steelers. That's basically an offensive tackle. Darnell Wright, yes, is the tackle for the Bears. They got Braxton Jones, who's perfectly fine on the other side. The only spot they have to fill is center. I think you can get a center in like the third round this year and be okay. This is going to be a completely new look Bears offensive line. I hate to say it, but these are really good moves.
Yeah, I love it. I think I would be 100% scared if I was you and a Packers fan side of thing. The Bears looking good so far, and Ben Johnson, I like the message that you said that he's sending a message to the not only the league but the team, and then those teams in the division as well. Vikings making news that they will not franchise tag Sam Darnold, assuming that will mean that he moves on to free agency, leading the way for J.J. McCarthy to be the starter this year.
I'm kind of surprised they weren't able to pull off a tag and trade because as we've gotten deeper into this draft process, it's increasingly clear that teams only really see one potential franchise quarterback. So you'd think there would be a big market for Sam Darnold, and there would be teams saying, yeah, you tag him, we'll bring him in for a first or a second round pick. I guess not. He's going to hit free agency. I do think the Vikings are making the right decision. They get that big contract that they'd have to pay out off the books. They can put good pieces around J.J. McCarthy with a great coaching staff. I think this is a smart move.
Your Green Bay Packers signed sexual offender, rapist kind of guy. Maybe not. Proven, maybe not. But Brandon McManus, 3 years, $15.3 million.
Gonna be real with you. I have not dove into the background stuff, so I'm not gonna be the arbiter on that. But the Packers do get kicking consistency. And maybe it'll fall apart next year. But he was very good for the Packers when they needed a reliable kicker. Might have found our guy. First guy since Crosby. We'll take it.
Yeah, no doubt. Eagles extending Saquon Barkley, rightfully so, to a 2-year, $41.3 million deal, making him the highest paid running back in the league.
The dude absolutely earned it. He's worth it. We've seen the way that Saquon changes offenses. My one concern, the reason that we didn't know Saquon Barkley was this good of a running back, part of it was that he played for the Giants. And the Giants were a bad team with a bad offensive line. But he was also hurt every year. And we were lucky enough to see a fully healthy 16, not 17, because he sat out the last one, game season of Saquon Barkley this year, and it was fireworks. I just hope he can stay healthy through this contract as he gets older. That's the one thing that would hold him down.
Yeah, no doubt. While we're on the contract talk, Dallas Cowboys defensive tackle Osa Odigizua 4 years, $80 million. He gets his money.
So I feel like most people are going to say, who? Who are they paying $20 million to?
Really good
Osh
player.
is a really good player. One of the best pure pass rushing defensive tackles in the NFL. But this still feels like a little bit of an overpay to me. What do you think?
He plays for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that's just how we kind of do contracts. We usually overpay for a lot of people. But this is a guy where, like, we're a 4-3 team, and we always struggle with the second defensive tackle. So if we can lock down and have a really good first, that's very helpful. He's very athletic. I think he's slightly undersized for a D tackle, but like you said, he can really rush the passer. I'm really happy. He's a guy. It's kind of like Tyler Biotish, but reverse. Like I wanted to see Tyler Biotish stick around, but we're able to, and he didn't. Kind of sucks to see. But Osa Odighizuwa, he's just a guy that, like, not a huge priority, but you're happy he's still in town. And I'm loving that he got his money. I think it's well deserved. I'm excited to see where his career grows and what he turns out to be, and hopefully hosting a Super Bowl trophy one day.
You were talking about needing to complete that defensive line. That, Ethan, is why you draft Shamar Turner with the Cowboys' first pick.
Haters are going to hate, I suppose. How about Rams keeping Matthew Stafford in L.A.?
This is a weird situation because if you're the Rams and you trade away Matthew Stafford, you're like in full rebuild mode. And that's an interesting place to go because you've still got Cooper Kupp on the roster. In theory, you've got some really nice young pieces like Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner. I mean, that's a really good defensive line with a fantastic head coach. I do think you can win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford if the offensive line's good enough, if the pass catchers are good enough, and if he gets hot. I like them running it back, but it does feel like they're kind of kicking the can down the road. They're going to need to find a guy. Maybe they're the team that drafts Jalen Milroe this year.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, especially with that Sean McVay offense, what he can kind of cook up and see where he can take that team. But yeah, I think Matthew Stafford leaving would not have been good for LA. I think that at the point where that franchise is, if Cooper Kupp leaves, I don't know. I think they're trying to progressively get younger. Obviously, Matthew Stafford sticking around, but it'll help. I mean, they're instantly going to be credible and have an opportunity to win. I did hear a rumor, though, that Matthew Stafford going to the Giants was pretty much an eyebrow away from being a reality. That supposedly they met the contract, they met the trade value, and it was just a matter of the loyalty of Matthew Stafford to LA, to Sean McVay, to wanting to be able to win another championship with the Rams. And supposedly that is the only holdup with him not going to the Giants.
Okay. Here's what my very real insider sources are telling me. The Giants went after him hard. They really wanted him, and the Giants in this probably last year of Brian Daboll, and I forget the name of their GM, but the owner basically said, you two get one more season, and this time you better do it right. And obviously, if you want to compete, you got to have a quarterback. So they're balls to the wall. Get us a real quarterback. We're done with Drew Lock. And they just couldn't quite get it done. What I've also heard is that they're very on Shedeur Sanders. There's been some buzz about, him and Daboll had a fantastic dap up at the Senior Bowl. I think that the NFL is starting to catch on to the fact that Shedeur Sanders is absolutely not a top 10 quarterback. So with that being said, they need a quarterback. They're not going to want to draft one at 3rd overall, and I don't think they're going to be able to trade up to 1. We'll see. We can have that conversation later. I think this is where Sam Darnold goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that fit, actually. I think it'd be reasonable. I definitely think that this is a team that's in position that they want to go find that bridge guy. They are not in the position to draft one. Hopefully, maybe next year they could be, but a bridge guy, a Sam Darnold, I think is a great fit. I'm not sure who else is in free agency. Maybe Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. I think Sam Darnold would be a good fit, and I think that, the Giants are just kind of in that position, and nice to see them being in that position because they
need a guy who can play. And I actually do want to retcon something I said, which is that I do think they can move up to number 1 because I do think that the Titans are looking to move back. So
I agree.
Mock Draft 2 is going to be fun.
Mock Draft 2 will be fun, no doubt about it. Let's see. Eagles, just today, Zach Bond agreed to a 3-year, $51 million. Great story from a Wisconsin guy, seeing him move up from a a special teams guy, all the way up to being one of the premier linebackers in the league.
First of all, I love to see this as a Badgers fan and as a big fan of Zach Baun's story. Second, this is kind of insane. I'm really surprised that they did this. You have Nakobe Dean, who had a great season overall, one of the better linebackers in the NFL this year. I know that he missed most of their Super Bowl run, but I don't think he's missing time next year. Maybe he tore his ACL or something, but I didn't think so. So maybe they need a linebacker. The Eagles are also a team that's fantastic at just drafting and stashing talented defensive players and letting them come up and develop. So I'm surprised that they opted to pay their 2 superstars instead of probably letting Baun test the market. That being said, they're getting back, a top 3 linebacker in the NFL, so you can't be mad about it.
I think they have to. I mean, when you win a Super Bowl like that, your goal is to retain 22 of 22 starters. It's definitely easier said than done. I mean, we saw the Chiefs do that, and they went on to win another one right after and, go to more. So I think that's your goal. I think obviously they have a Super Bowl caliber team, and I think the best opportunity for them is to try and retain as many of those as they can. I like the signing, and I'm definitely here in favor of Zach Baun getting his money. Max Crosby and the Raiders and the Oakland Raiders. 3 years, $106.5 million. Highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Is that crazy money?
The Raiders are not a serious organization. Max Crosby is a stud football player. I know he missed time last year. When he was out on the field, he was playing hurt, just a dude who's tough as nails, and he was still really good. This is one of the 5 to 7 best edge rushers in the NFL. That being said, do we really think that the Raiders are going to be winning anything when Max Crosby is on the team? They need quarterback. They need a running back. They need every pass catcher except for Brock Bowers. They need help on the line. And the defense outside of Crosby is a disaster. They have maybe one other good defensive player. Do I think he's worth this kind of money? Yeah, probably. He's the kind of guy who's going to get a market resetting contract. But for the Raiders, as opposed to like maybe a tag and trade, I don't know about that one.
Clearly, Max Crosby's got some loyalty to that organization. I think he wants to be a part of a turnaround. Aaron Rodgers is going there, I've heard. So we'll see what happens. One thing I do kind of find comical is it's very unusual for a minority owner to be very hands-on in the operations and decision-making, that being Tom Brady. I understand his big brain. It's nice to see that. You want a guy like Tom Brady on your side. But it sure seems like Matthew Stafford, who else? I mean, there's been a multitude of things and people and rumors that I feel like, Tom Brady's hosting this guy at his house, and the Raiders are a favorite for this guy. Nothing happens. Well, I guess Max Crosby happened, and they overpaid. Obviously, like you said, he's going to reset the market, but there's a lot of big-name guys that are going to be getting contracts in that position, and this sets a precedent for that, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what the next potentially 365 days plus might look like for some of those guys, including my Micah Parsons. So we'll see.
Adding one more thing before we move on, I do think that he wanted to stay in Las Vegas. Like fundamentally, he's a Raiders guy, a Vegas guy. That's where he wants to be. But he was pissed at him for a long time. Like there was bad blood, multiple years now. And I think that's a big part of why they had to give him such an absolutely absurd contract to keep him around.
Yeah, absolutely crazy stuff. A lot of crazy stuff, though, happening in the wide receiver world. We'll start with the Jets releasing Davante Adams. Is he going to reunite, make up the bad blood with Green Bay?
You know what? I think he might. It's going to be interesting to see. I do think there's going to be kind of a Davante Adams sweepstakes. This isn't like a bringing in completely cooked Julio Jones. Davante Adams is still a really good player when he's on the field. Not the elite guy he used to be, but still a guy I think can be a wide receiver one for you if he's motivated. As for the Jets cutting him, I don't think I mind it. I mean, we saw Garrett Wilson kind of go a little more quiet than people were expecting this year. I think that when the Jets find their quarterback, that quarterback is going to be in a good spot. I don't think they need Davante. I think this is part of the new culture, and I think it's probably best for both sides.
Keeping in the same note, franchise tag for T. Higgins, a guy that we knew he wants big money. The franchise tag, second one for him, though, a guy that seemed like was going to be the answer for a lot of teams a lot of wide receiver needy teams, but he's staying in Cincinnati as they try to get back to the playoffs.
The Bengals are also not a serious organization. I haven't heard what T. Higgins thinks about this because he is getting a lot of money. You get more money on the second franchise tag than you do on the first franchise tag. I haven't seen the figures for how much he's actually making. Maybe it's not decided yet because I know it has to do with the average of the top players at the position. But just like re-sign him, Bengals. This is a famously cheap ownership group where they don't want to deal out these massive signing bonuses that they have to pay all at once instead of in the form of salary. But it's like, stop kicking this can down the road and you either let him walk and you tell the offense to deal with it because now we're going to take the money we were paying T. Higgins and we're going to have a real defense and we're going to be a complete football team, or you re-sign him and have the best offense in football for the next 5 years. Pick one.
Yeah, I mean, he's when you think about the opportunity to have Jamar and T. Higgins together, I mean, it's everybody's dream to have an elite wide receiver 1 and an elite wide receiver 2. For you, I mean, the franchise tag, I would imagine T. Higgins is probably holding out come this training camp. I would imagine in hopes of it. And that just creates bad blood. I mean, I feel like I'm not going to really claim that I called this, but I do feel like coming into the year, the 49ers expectations immediately depleted, at least for me, because of all of the so-and-so like drama this offseason. They had contracts. They had multiple guys holding out. Contract negotiations going up all the way till week 1. And look kind of the turnout that they had. Well, the Bengals just had the similar season. And now you're going to add a little bit more controversy. To me, in the current day of NFL football, eliminating that to the best of your abilities is important. And that includes re-signing him. Maybe like you've mentioned for a couple other guys earlier, like a tag and trade type thing. I understand that. I understand that he's a pretty valuable player, and it's hard just to see him walk away. Of course, you don't want T. Higgins to walk away from your franchise. T. Higgins is a wide receiver 1 on most teams, but you have Jamar Chase. That's elite, and your quarterback's Joe Burrow. I mean, come on. Let's not be stupid here. You had a horrible season. You have to bring him back to get back to going back to Super Bowls.
I like what you said about the 49ers because I think that people don't give enough credit to how much culture matters in an NFL locker room. Like for the Niners, obviously they had injuries like usual. They had some bad luck. Like if you remember Brandon Ayuk before, I think it was towards ACL, he was playing bad ball. Brandon Ayuk was playing the worst football of his career. He was dropping passes in the end zone. Deebo Samuel was really sloppy this year, throwing hands at their long snapper's neck. Like there were clearly dysfunctional things going on in that team's locker room. And man, it feels like Cincy is just getting closer and closer to that. And you don't want to mess around when you got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
And limited time. I mean, when you think about the period of prime for some of these guys, you want to hit that. You want to utilize what they can give you at the time that they're giving it to you. And it's hard when you're not able to do that. But let's talk about a guy like Deebo Samuel. He gets traded to the Commanders for a whopping 5th-round pick.
This is a really good move for the Commanders.
Absolutely.
Because that offense with Cliff Kingsbury, he knows how to get the ball in playmakers' hands. And they kind of tried to do that with Olamide Zaccheaus, who I swear fumbled every other touch from what I saw of the Commanders this year. Look, Deebo's got to play better. I think that he's worn down way more than most wide receivers his age are because the dude's literally been a running back before. It beats you up. He wasn't making guys miss. He wasn't breaking as many tackles. But if he refocuses, tries to get back in condition, back in ideal shape, I do think that he can be a nice impact for the Commanders. And they got him for really cheap, so I think this is a good move.
Last but not least on the NFL headlines, because there's plenty of them. Just today, DK Metcalf requests a trade. With that comes Tyler Lockett also was released. So JSN, the leader, wide receiver number 1 in that locker room.
This is really, really interesting to me because Jackson Smith-Njigba had a breakout season last year. He was truly one of like the top tier of slot only guys in the NFL. I'm not saying he was Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he was maybe half a step below Amon-Ra St. Brown. I do think that based on what we saw at the end of last season, this is a guy who can be a wide receiver 1. But you look at what else they got, and it's like Jake Bobo, the tight end who played in, I think Noah Fant is still there. It's like, okay, you've got an aging quarterback. You've got a defense that I think has the potential to get really good, an offensive line that can be good when it's healthy. We got some places to fill here if DK Metcalf wants out. I've kind of been a DK Metcalf hater on the show. He's a big physical wide receiver who isn't physical and doesn't look for the football in the air. And I think that that's kind of an overrated player to have. But that being said, he's still a really good wide receiver, and those are big shoes to fill. So Seahawks may be a threat to move up in the draft, get a playmaker. They got to win now.
I hope that he ends up in Green Bay. I think that's one of the betting favorites. I think so.
I don't want DK Metcalf. I'm sorry. He's the worst fit for Jordan Love, who will just huck it up at any moment. And, well, he's out there somewhere. And then DK Metcalf is looking in the wrong direction and it gets picked off.
I think the interesting thing is that DK Metcalf is requesting a trade because he wants to be on a contender. To me, I kind of consider them a contender. I mean, they're a wild card contender. I don't eliminate them at the start of the season from playoff contention. I mean, Geno Smith can still play ball. You got DK Metcalf. You got elite running core, a defense that probably could be improved. I don't view this as a team that is just not good. You know what I mean? It's just interesting to me that we're seeing this guy wanting to move on because they are not a contender. It's not like they're the Titans.
Look, I haven't met DK Metcalf, so I'm not trying to throw personal shade here, but he doesn't come off as the smartest guy to me. This doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to write the Seahawks off as a contender. This is a team that if their offensive line is healthy and has a decent interior player, I think they're a playoff team. Geno Smith was just running for his life, made a few bad mistakes. They had injuries to both their starting offensive tackles, I believe, and a great defensive coach heading into year 2. Historically, defensive coaches take a little bit of time before they develop that elite championship caliber defense. I think if he sticks around, the arrow's pointing up on Seattle, and it's very short-sighted to say, I want to go to a contender. Okay, what team that's better than the Seahawks is going to have the cash and will to bring you in?
Yeah, I wonder what the price tag on a guy like DK is. Is he warranting a first? I can't imagine.
No way. Maybe
I can't imagine.
A second or a third, I would say.
Yeah. At that point, I put my money that he ends up in Seattle for another year at least. I don't imagine he goes anywhere. We'll see though. Interesting stuff. Combine, NFL Combine over the weekend. I know Austin was locked in on it all weekend long. Give me some takeaways. What do you got?
All right, so I can kind of go position by position. Quarterbacks don't really test anymore. I will say Brady Cook out of Missouri kind of got my attention. This is a guy who wasn't particularly good last year, but been watching some tape, not on him, but on the guys that have been playing him. And the athleticism shows on tape. Really great move thrower. Pocket presence is questionable. Arm strength is questionable, but I do think he's an NFL backup. And he had some really fantastic testing numbers. One of the best vertical jumps, I believe, either vertical or broad in quarterback combine history. So if you want a QB takeaway, I guess it's that. For wide receivers, Matthew Golden's got my attention, man. 4.29.
Yeah, saw that.
He might be wide receiver 2. I'm not counting Travis Hunter in that. I guess wide receiver 3, if you're going to count Travis Hunter. But I could see this putting him above Burden, above Egbuka. He proved a lot with that. Other wide receivers, it was actually kind of an underwhelming year for wide receivers. Isaiah Bond didn't run a 4.15 like he promised.
I still like him.
There's stuff to like. He's not trash. That being said, he kind of reminds me of the kid out of Oregon last year who he went to the Broncos and he couldn't get on the field for them after he got mocked pretty highly for a while. He kind of slowly slid down draft boards. I can't think of his name right now, but he was an underwhelming tester as well. He disappeared a lot at the wrong times. He could still figure it out in the pros. He's a young player, but I would have really liked it if he went back to college and took another year.
Yeah, I could see that. I think I would have liked to see him have a better test as well. He's a guy, I think that honestly, him transferring in a way hurt him. I know he came up with some injuries, especially at some of the key points of Texas's season. And I think I liked him since he was in Alabama. I thought when he transferred to Texas, it instantly made Texas a better team. Obviously, Matthew Golden was still there. They had Gunnar Helm as well. A lot of weapons, good running backs too. But I liked him. I mean, he's a clutch player. I think he's talented in multiple facets. I don't want to say something that's not true, but I think that he is a player that is better than what he's putting out right now. And again, I don't know, maybe his character and, some things that might be also in the evaluation of a guy like him, but I like him just from watching him play.
It's fair game to say that his best ball might still be ahead of him because, like you said, so many mouths to feed in Texas. Now, if we're going to stick with skill positions, Bashul Tutin, you heard of him? Running back out of Virginia Tech?
Not a chance.
He is a name that is worth knowing. Not to brag, because I didn't have him on my summer board, but he's close to the top 10 for me, pre-combine. Really athletic player, a dude with a ton of potential, kind of inconsistent vision as a ball carrier, not a great power profile, but he knows how to make linebackers and safeties miss in space, and he tested absolutely out of his mind this week. 4.32 40-yard dash, best among running backs, 40.5-inch vertical jump, and a 10-foot, 10-inch broad jump. Just extremely athletic. At this point, I think I see Tutin probably going third, fourth round. This is a guy that teams are going to view maybe not as like a sure starter, but a guy, if he hits, you're getting a Dalvin Cook type of running back.
Oh, yeah, I've never heard of him in my life, but I do know he wasn't successful at playing against Notre Dame.
A lot of running backs weren't.
That's very true.
That was a good defense. On the offensive line, two names I want to talk about. The first one is Jared Wilson, center out of Georgia. I'm going to be real with you. I don't love the tape. He's a very good zone blocker because he's climbing up to linebackers like nobody's business. He ran a 4.84 40-yard dash as an offensive lineman. The dude can run like a tight end. His stride length is absolutely insane. I think he's all right in pass protection. He can definitely get overpowered by nose tackles. You can't leave him one-on-one with a nose in pass protection or in the run game. But in, say, a system like Miami, a team that prioritizes outside zone, guy's going to be a beast. He also had the top 20-yard shuttle among all offensive linemen, 4, 5, 6. So obviously an extremely athletic player. Yeah. But a guy I'm more excited about, and a guy I wish I had just planted my flag on earlier as offensive tackle 1, is Armand Membu out of Missouri. Their right tackle. I think he could be the first offensive lineman drafted.
Really?
Okay. Will Campbell measured in with, I think, 32 and 3/8-inch arms. To me, he's still an offensive tackle, man. It's like his arms didn't shrink since he's been at LSU. He was locking up SEC pass rushers with 32 and 3/8-inch arms. Mirrors moves really well. He just stays in front of guys. You can't bull rush him. Beats guys up in the ground game. I'm leaving him at tackle and seeing if he can hang there. But that being said, I don't think NFL teams are going to think that way. I think they're going to say he's a guard. And I think they're going to say that the best tackle in this class is Armand Membu, who ran a 4.9 140, 9-foot 7-inch vertical jump, which was first among offensive linemen. Just on his way out, 31 reps on the bench, which I think was tied for second. You do see all the strength on tape, but this is a fantastic mover in space. As a move blocker on screen passes, as a puller, he just decleats guys. And he's getting better in pass protection as well. I think he's a little weak against inside moves, got a little bit of heavier feet. There's a reason that he didn't do the agility testing. But this is a potential franchise right tackle and a player that I think is probably locked into the top 10 now. We'll see. If we want to switch over to the defensive side of the ball now, Shamar Stewart, I just finished up his all-22 evaluation. He ran a 4.59 at 270 pounds with a 40-inch vertical jump and a 10-foot 11 broad jump. Perfect 10.0 relative athletic score. That being said, this is another guy who skipped the agility drills, and I think that was intentional. I think his bend as a pass rusher is by far his weakest trait. He also only has 4.5 career sacks. That's not a lot of production. Watching the tape, he's a good football player. And after Jimbo Fisher got fired, he got a lot better. I watched his sophomore year film and thought, wow, this is a really bad football player. And then I turned on the junior year tape and said, this guy's making an impact. He's fitting the run. He's bull rushing tackles into the backfield. He's got a little bit of ability to win with athleticism to the outside corner, but his big thing is he can't really finish the rush. He can't duck under the tackle to get the sack. His counters are terrible. Can't get off blocks. And for some reason, whenever he's tackling the quarterback and not like the running back in the hole, which he does really well, his Madden tackle rating drops off about 35 points. He just doesn't finish plays. There's a reason he's got 4.5 sacks. He's got to learn that at the NFL level, and that's not easy to do. That being said, I don't think the Myles Garrett comps are ridiculous. Like, all the athleticism is there. He might be the most athletic edge rusher I've ever watched when you consider his weight, even more so than like Abdul Carter, who's doing his good work at 250 pounds. So there's a reason that everybody knows who Shamar Stewart is after the NFL Combine. And then a couple more defensive guys, a couple of cornerbacks. Maxwell Hairston, best 40-yard dash in attendance, 4.28 seconds, 39.5-inch vert, 10 3/4 foot broad jump, just extremely athletic. And that's a big box check for him because on film, he's not like a guy you think of as an athletic freak. He's really good. Like, he's got the deep speed, but this is kind of a press man type of corner who is more going to win with physicality and being comfortable in trail technique, good ball skills. So running a 4.28 40-yard dash, maybe CB4-ish. Really impressive showing from him. And then Darian Porter, the 6th-year cornerback out of Iowa State. I cannot wait to watch his all-22. Went ahead and ran a 4.3, 36.5-inch vertical jump, 10-foot, 11-inch broad jump. Led all cornerbacks in the short shuttle and the 3-cone. And he shows that on tape. This guy is a ridiculous athlete. He's got unbelievable recovery speed. He can chase down running backs from the other side of the formation. He's that much of a factor. That being said, why did it take him 6 years to be a starter in college football? Like, that's not normal. He kind of reminds me of Xavier Legette from last year, a player who's really athletic, who had really good tape. It's just, he's older. Why didn't this happen sooner? The weird thing about Darian Porter is, like, when he played, when they would put him out there, he was good. He's blocked 4 kicks in his career.
Wow.
He's that good on special teams. So it's tough to say where he's going to go. I think teams are going to bank on him in the first round because this is a guy who's like a big, long corner as well. He can break up passes. He can get the ball at its highest point. Really exciting. And the player I want to end on is another defensive back, Nick Emanwari. Might be safety 1 in this class.
Really?
4.38 40-yard dash, 43-inch vertical jump, which I can only assume is the best at the combine, 11.5-foot broad jump. He just went up and put up 20 bench reps as well at 220 pounds. His tape isn't as good as Malachi Starks, but I also happen to think Malachi Starks is really overrated. I could see NFL teams liking the just ridiculousness of Emanwari as a tester. This is a box safety, a guy who I think can play a Derwin James sort of role, and he's going to be flying up boards. If he hasn't already arrived as like a locked-in first-round pick for most people, he is now. And if I had to gamble, I would say he probably goes top 20. I know there are a lot of great defensive players in this class, but some NFL team is going to find a spot for Nick Emanwari, and those are some of my combine takeaways. I don't need to get into the guys who didn't have great combines, like Tez Johnson weighing in at like 154 and running a 4.51. I don't know if you can draft that player. Like, you can draft that player, but you might be drafting that player in the 7th round. Some guys have bad days. We mentioned Isaiah Bond. Not a bad 40 time. 4.39 is great, but if you promise to run a sub 4.2, it's like, and he was confident about it. He's like, yeah, that's where they've clocked me at practice. They were
Rumor has it
halfway there.
Rumor has it, Lucas Oil Stadium, new turf. Instead of the black little rubber pellets that fill the turf, it's like something different. And supposedly that's why 40 times are a little bit slower. So maybe 40 times got a little asterisk on there. That's what I heard.
Maybe it helps with the jumps because, like, Landon Jackson, edge rusher out of Arkansas, who people complain, oh, he's not athletic enough, went ahead and jumped 40 inches up into the air. So, no, he was number 1. He was 40.5 inches. He beat Shamar Stewart. So maybe it takes something off the 40 times. Didn't see any records broken this year. And you add it to the verts. That's my thought process.
Yeah, it might be something in the air or something. Yeah, I can't say that might be double what my vertical is. I mean, those guys are getting up there. 40 inches is quite crazy.
I could do at least 10.
Yeah, white boy can't jump is what they say. I'll stand by that. No doubt.
We've got that in common.
So we got a lot of stuff going on. This is the luxury of the NFL offseason. By the way, great stuff, Ellingson, as always.
Thank
I
you.
imagine you were locked in on your TV all weekend long.
Oh, absolutely. One more shout out. Former Badger, Chimere DK. I don't think he's going day 2. He is not going past round 5, I will say. This is a guy that people had forgotten about, wasn't on anybody's boards. NFL teams know who Chimere DK is.
Yeah, I think like a Christian Kirk is a great comparison to that.
Essentially. Maybe the Jags get him as their slot. They got Parker Washington. Every NFL team's got a spot for a guy like DK.
Absolutely. So the great thing about the NFL offseason is we just talked about all the headlines that are going on amongst teams. And then we just talked about Ellison's analysis of all the studs at the Pro Bowl. Let's talk about some team need. Excuse me, the NFL Combine. Why did I say Pro Bowl? I mean, that's not even remotely close. Good
This
golly.
is so much more important than the Pro Bowl. Come on.
Yeah, so that one's on me. That's an embarrassing move right there. But let's talk a little bit about some team needs. And you might be wondering, what do we mean by some team needs? Well, Combine's kind of a time where some headlines start to come out of what teams potentially might be looking at, might not be looking at, where they want to go free agency versus draft. A lot of different things and a lot of different opportunities. We've kind of talked about it through the whole process today. But let's start at number 1 with the Titans. You mentioned that this is a team that quietly might be wanting to move out of that first round. You talk about the Bears who traded their first round pick. Yeah, they traded for the first round pick. Or did they wait? What? I'm brain
Last
fog.
year?
Did they trade the first round pick? No,
they
traded the first round pick 2 years ago, which ended up being the first round pick the next year. Plus, they got
There we
more.
go. There we
That's
go.
what it was. They traded their first round pick, and they got a bag for it. Is where I was trying to go with that. When you see the compensation for a pick like that, to me, the Titans are a team. A lot of people think they might go quarterback. Well, that first overall, if you're not super sold on Cam Ward, potentially you move back a little bit, get a different guy. Not a great year for drafting a quarterback, though. So there's something there as well. What do you think the Titans do? What does the team need? And what might be, if you're the GM, what's kind of the move there?
If there's a team that's willing to tango, that's willing to move up to the number 1 overall selection for Cam Ward, I think that you make that deal in a heartbeat, because the Titans are not the spot where you want a quarterback to be right now. They need everything. They need pass catcher. They need line. Their needs are just like OFF and DEF would be what I would put if I was making a mock draft simulator. They need pretty much every defensive position as well. They maybe need a new coaching staff. Just move down, and one of either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter is going to be sitting there for you, and that's the pick for Tennessee.
I mean, the craziness of quarterback needy teams is insane, because to me, I think it's insane that Travis Hunter's not the lock for number 1.
I kind of agree, honestly.
I mean,
I
to
think
me,
that
he's
it comes in
generational.
waves. We will see how desperate teams are. There was a mock draft published today by one of the important, I think, NFL.com writers. I can never remember names for some reason, that had 1, 2, 3 as Ward, Shadur, Jackson Dart. That would be insane. Like that's just a terrible use of resources. But then we also get the Kenny Pickett draft class, where he's the first quarterback off the board at like 26 or whatever.
30.
So it's not like,
I think it was 30.
It might have been. Teams aren't just straight up delusional, which is why, if I had to bet, I would say Shadur probably doesn't go top 5, because I think that would be delusional. You've got to hope teams have learned a little bit from drafting Daniel Jones and Mitch Trubisky in spots like this in the past. Maybe not, but it's going to be fascinating. I think there's only one franchise QB in this year's class, and we'll have to see if some team is willing to pay up for the next best thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. At number 2, the Browns. This is a team that I've heard is almost a lock for quarterback, which seems to be potentially a betting favorite for Cam Ward to go to. This is a team that has a Deshaun Watson contract, where I feel like a bridge quarterback would be the best fit, but you potentially can't do that. The only way for them to be at all competitive is a quarterback on a rookie deal.
This is the 3rd time this episode I'm going to say this. The Browns are not a serious franchise. They are going nowhere. This is yet another team that needs everything. Their offensive line is full of holes because all their former studs like Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio are getting up there in age and having down years. You've got all this money going out to Deshaun Watson to be injured and terrible and a horrible person for you. Myles Garrett wants out, and they say, nah, you don't have any pieces on defense other than Denzel Ward and Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. There are other cornerbacks who had shown some promise, all had down years this season. Where do you go if you're Cleveland? You're not competing. You're taking best player available. So I've heard the same thing, Ethan. They're locked into taking a quarterback. I've also heard that if one team is in on Shedeur Sanders, it's the Cleveland Browns. If he's going in the top 5, this is where Shedeur is going. And I know I just said that I don't think I don't think Shedeur goes top 5. I'd maybe say 50-50. The Browns have a good shot to make a big mistake here.
Quite interesting. I don't know. I mean, the Browns have, I think instead of calling it a mistake, I think the Browns have an opportunity to make a Browns pick.
There you go.
I think that's a better way to put it. To me, for the Browns, you don't got much working for you. You're a team that I would say at least 5 years from being successful because you got another couple of years of Deshaun Watson. And until the point that you get rid of him, then maybe a couple of years to rebuild. To me, what I would do is potentially trade Myles Garrett. You got to imagine you're going to get pretty good compensation for him. Can you get a top 10 pick out of him? I would say you probably no.
You can maybe get a first.
Maybe get a first. Okay.
Because he's getting up there. He's still a fantastic player. He's the best edge rusher in the NFL, in my opinion, but he's going to need another big contract, getting up there in age. You can get a nice first-round pick for him, though. I agree on that. You can get some.
I mean, you maybe look at that and say, if we can get a quarterback and then address another need, I would maybe argue that's a good move. I feel like edge rushers are, I wouldn't say replaceable, but there's other guys you can get a mid edge rusher in free agency and still be successful. Obviously, any replacement for Myles Garrett is going to be a downgrade. But I think if you can find value and potentially address some other positional needs, I don't hate that idea. The Browns are just kind of there's just nowhere to go until Deshaun Watson's gone. I saw something that like the Browns should just accept their misery and tell Deshaun Watson and be like, dude, we will pay you the rest of your contract this year, but then you're gone. Just get it all over with in 1 year. Absolutely, like go 0-16, like just be absolutely god awful.
Do it again.
And then rebuild, and then just start the process. Just get rid of him instead of waiting the next 2 or 3 years to finish out his contract, which is still insane. Just go all in and just get rid of him this year, and then go from there. I think that's. I mean, I kind of agree. I don't think that's very unnecessary or unrealistic.
I think the Browns should just burn the stadium down and be content to go 0-16 every year.
I think the Browns should probably relocate, don't you think?
Yeah, there's more dignity in it.
Yeah, Cleveland seems like the Browns
move to Baltimore again.
They just need a new team name. Like I don't think the Browns represent Cleveland very well. I don't know.
We'll have to come up with something. We're workshopping team names. So,
yep. Let us know in the comments what you think the Browns should rename their team to. Thoughts? Let's talk a little Cowboys here at 12. Rumor has it they're not interested in going running back, is what I've heard in the first round. They do understand that they are in need of that. The plan is to try and re-sign Rico Dowdle, and they want to find a guy to pair up with Dowdle. But they're saying that at 12, that is not the plan. Is there? I guess. I would imagine if Ashton Genty is there at 12, you'd be mistaken to not take him, right? I mean, I would imagine Ashton Genty is a clear pick.
I don't disagree. I don't think it's like obvious that you have to pick Genty if someone like Tedero McMillan is sitting there, or in Armand Membu where you can replace Terrence Steele at right tackle, because
there are running backs. That guy's horrible.
There are running backs you can get down the board in this year's class. Quinshon Judkins, people have just forgotten that he exists, went ahead and tested really well. He's fast, explosive. He's a bruiser, might have been playing hurt this year. It felt like he lost all his wiggle that we know he has because he showed it as an underclassman. He was just trying to run through guys. Yeah. First year in a new system, I believe, transferring in from Ole Miss. Like that's a quality starter you can get in the third round. I don't mind pairing that up with Rico Dowdle and focusing on any high-value position in round one. I mean, would you hate Tyler Warren at that spot if he's sitting there?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, kind of though. Tight end, I would feel there's other options. I would love a guy like Tyler Warren, but I mean, when you mentioned Judkins, like he's a guy who transferred into Ohio State and was probably like going to be the RB1. And he mentioned he had some injury and some issues, and Trayvon Henderson just kind of took that role over. But Judkins is still very athletic. He's still a stud. And RB2, a guy that, I mean, when you have that 1-2 punch on the national championship team, there's a lot of credit there. And a good testing day at the combine, I think that there's definitely good real opportunity there. Not saying he's a perfect fit. I think there's other guys. Caleb Johnson, I mean, you'd imagine he's a guy that you could draft and instantly turn into a stud. I mean, there's a lot of options. Martin Hampton, I mean, you name it. But I think it depends on who's there. I mean, I could totally see a guy like Genty maybe going to the Bears or something like that. But I think if there's a guy that falls, I think there's potential. If there's a run on quarter, to be honest, for the Cowboys, the best opportunity to get a good guy at 12, if you're not looking the route of Genty, is to have a run on quarterbacks. See a Jackson Dart jump up into the top 10 because there's desperation. I mean, I've heard that's realistic. I mean,
I think it could be. I'm just cringing because it's like, wow, a team could actually do that.
Right. But when you see that type of a thing, like, I mean, I think Jackson Dart's raw, but I think he's a talented guy. I'm not saying he's top 10, but maybe back half of the first round is maybe where I would like him more. But I imagine a run on those guys will result in a fall. And if a guy like, I would imagine Mason Graham ain't falling too far, but that would be a key piece for the Dallas Cowboys to pick up. Somebody like that.
If Mason Graham falls to the Cowboys, which I think is really unlikely, but not impossible, he's a little small and he's got short arms too. And sometimes teams overreact to that. You are running that card into the podium.
Yeah, those are good options. I like being at 12 where we're at right now. I think it's a good spot to be. What other teams are in a kind of an interesting position? It kind of seems like there's a lot of question right now. It's kind of hard to really start to develop like your quote-unquote final mock draft. Obviously, we got free agency and a lot of things between now and the draft. But there's a lot of question up at the top, whether or not that pick will be moved. Maybe that's a draft day move. Maybe it's before. But then where do the quarterbacks fall then? Is someone trading up for a quarterback, or are they trading up for Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter or, I don't know, whoever else? But, like, there's question marks there. But you kind of imagine maybe some of those top picks are going to result in at least one of either or of Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter to fall out of maybe the top 3, 4, and maybe fall to a Jacksonville Jaguars who might get a player. I mean, there's some opportunity that we could see some guys falling because so many quarterback needy teams that we might be seeing some stretches.
One team that I really think is going to be interesting is the New England Patriots, who are picking at 4, right? And the Jags at 5. I'm just starting to get the draft order memorized. If a guy like Abdul Carter falls to you, man, do you pick him? I mean, it's not their biggest need. They want to be protecting Drake May, but now you're not comfortable taking Will Campbell because I don't think most teams are going to view him as a tackle. Do you take like a Tetairoa McMillan in this spot? It feels like there are a ton of different directions that the Patriots could go.
Could we see a Patriots being the team to move up to 1 for Travis Hunter?
That would be interesting, but I could see him going the opposite direction, actually.
Moving back, really?
Possibly, because they need a lot of stuff. I don't think that their defense is a total disaster. You have some pieces, but at worst, you need pass catcher, definitely. Yeah. Offensive line, all of it. I think they're bringing in at least 2 guys in free agency because they've got all the cap room and no other excuses. You could use more on the defensive line. You could use another cornerback to put beside Christian Gonzalez. You could use a linebacker. Jahad Campbell, I think, would make a great fit in that very multiple defense that they like to run. There's just a lot of things the Patriots need that I think this draft class has. So they can move up, they can move down, they could stick and pick and potentially get like an Abdul Carter, just a blue chip type of prospect. It's going to be fascinating to see. But then if we go to the other side of the aisle, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're in a weird spot picking at 31 because I think they need a tackle, and I don't know if one is sitting there for them.
Yeah, it's a weird one there. I mean, when you think about the last 10 picks of the first round are always so fascinating because you're going to have a multitude of – there's going to be that one guy that just falls, that like an injury or something gets revealed on draft day that everyone's like, oh, my God, how is this guy still here? He ends up getting drafted. You have some of those guys, you know, you see like I don't know, maybe like a decent wide receiver get drafted, like some guys that are notable that you expect to go there. And then you see those guys that you just never heard of, and the team's just taking a reach typically in that 30 to 31, 32 range. But then you have the opportunity this year, which I think out of all years would be the more possible than others, would be to see a team like the Chiefs make a jump, go out and make a trade up and see what you can do. You always have, obviously, the team, too, that trades back into the first round for a guy that's falling or a guy that they feel that they need, or randomly just drafting a Jordan Love because you have Aaron Rodgers. There's always the opportunities that are kind of around. And I just think that the last 10 is super fascinating. I don't know what the Chiefs do. I think it's hard to predict. When you're in a position like that, it's very hard to predict what you're going to end up with because it all depends on all the picks prior.
I feel like that end of the first round range is where you start to see the differences in teams' draft boards. Like, oh, the Patriots have a first round grade on Cole Strange. The Raiders have a first round grade on Alex Leatherwood. And you just kind of look and say, really? Like, with Quinyon Mitchell on the board? That's where you're going? You're just going to let the Eagles have that guy? It's going to be fascinating to see what the Chiefs do.
Yeah, who knows? It's always that's the best part about the draft. It's so hard to predict, but everyone thinks they can. And I mean, you and I both. We both think we make the perfect mock draft, and it's just something just happens, and then it's just a whirlwind from there. Absolutely, a lot of cool things. Mock draft 2.0 will be coming out at the end of this month. Like, super excited to be able to get into that. NFL draft, man, 50 days away today. How about that?
I'm excited. Going through more and more of the tape. Big board 2.0 probably coming out in about a week.
Got to be getting close, no doubt about it. Having a lot of fun. My big board's almost done. I got players positionally ranked, and now I'm kind of at the point where they got grades on them, and I'm trying to like rank them within the grades, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
I'm making a complete big board. So we'll see. Almost done with that. I got to say, the day 3 to undrafted free agents, there might be a couple of guys I pick out of there to put at the top, but I might be hitting the randomizer just to see where that goes, because I can't guarantee I know anybody else.
We're filling it in along the way.
Absolutely. Elson Gratz, always a good one. Next week, who's our guest next week? Anika Einbeck coming on to join the show. That'll be a fun one. Play hockey and lacrosse player at MSOE. Excited to chat with her. Stud, obviously representing the Einbeck family. We'll chat with her next week. Until then, Ethan Rosensteel, Elson Gratz, stay warm, stay dry. We will see you next time.